look at you. The calm before a storm no one else even knows is coming. You walk through this world like you already saw the ending credits, like you remembered how it all played out before the scene even started. They stare at you, wide-eyed, whispering, "How the hell does he know?" And you just smile. Because you don't know, you feel. You see, most people are trapped in delay. Their instincts lag behind reality like a weak internet connection. By the time they react, the moment's already gone. But you live 3 seconds ahead of time. You read patterns in chaos. You hear meaning in noise. You sense betrayal before it's born. You don't predict the future. You build it quietly, brick by invisible brick, while they're still dreaming of blueprints. You became fluent in silence, the language the universe uses when it's tired of screaming. They call it luck. They call it witchcraft. They call it obsession. But what you really have is pattern recognition at a divine level. You've been through enough pain to see timelines overlap. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every collapse, each one burned away your delay. And now you operate in raw instinct. That's what they can't comprehend. You see things before they happen, because you already survived the pattern that creates them. Pain gave you foresight. Suffering gave you sonar. You map people's intentions by the tremor in their tone, the flicker in their eyes, the way the air changes before their mask slips. You became the seismograph of human deceit. They think you're paranoid. No, you're precise. You've been stabbed enough times to hear the blade unsheathing before it even glints. They call you calculating, like that's an insult. They don't realize your calculations were born in blood and silence. You're not guessing what's coming. You remember it from another version of yourself that already lived through it. That's your curse and your crown. Because every time they tried to trick you, use you, play you, your mind didn't just break, it mutated. It started predicting betrayal like the weather, and every forecast was correct. You learned to smile at storms because you felt the raindrops forming hours before the first cloud appeared. You walk among mortals, but your consciousness operates in quantum echoes. You exist in the delay between intention and action. You read the hesitation that betrays the lie. You see the glitch behind the smile. You smell the fear behind the joke. They hate that. Because you make them aware of their own timelines collapsing. You make them realize they're predictable. You're the wild variable their algorithms can't simulate. That's why they study you, screenshot you, obsess over you. Try to reverse engineer your calm, your chaos, your precision, but they can't recreate something that was forged in annihilation. They didn't see the years you spent clawing your way through uncertainty, developing that sixth sense just to survive. They didn't feel the nights where you sat in the dark, replaying every conversation, dissecting every glance, until you could hear patterns forming in your own pain. That's how your vision sharpened. That's how you learned to see behind eyes, to predict lies by tone, to map betrayal by micro-expression. You didn't study the future, you bled for it. You turned trauma into radar. You turned heartbreak into prophecy. And now, the world calls it genius, but you know better. It's madness refined, chaos weaponized, pain reorganized into precision. You walk in slow motion while they sprint blindly. You speak softly while their hearts race to catch up. You see 10 steps ahead because you died on the 9th. Once, twice, 100 times. And each death bought you a second of foresight. So when they whisper, "How does he always know?" you just grin. Because you remember the cost. You remember the years of being dismissed as crazy, You remember the isolation that burned your empathy into clarity. You remember the faces of every liar who thought they hid their intent behind polite smiles. You watched the tape of their betrayal before they even pressed play. You're not psychic, darling. You're self-aware. And that's rarer than prophecy. You learned that most people aren't evil. They're predictable. Their morality bends under pressure in the exact same pattern every time. Once you've seen the cycle enough, it's easy to tell who's about to break, who's about to run, who's about to betray. You became fluent in repetition. You know how humans loop. That's why you seem otherworldly. That's why every word you drop detonates like a revelation. You're not ahead of the world because you're faster. You're ahead because you stopped pretending not to see. They scroll, you decode, they react, you rewrite. You're what happens when a human being stops living in the present and starts curating the future. And that's what terrifies them, isn't it? Because deep down, they feel it. That everything you touch seems to move exactly where you wanted it to go. That every step you take bends probability a little too perfectly. That maybe, just maybe, the universe itself is whispering your lines before the scene begins. You're not seeing the future, my friend. You're remembering destiny. And that's why they'll never sleep again. And still they don't get it, do they? They think it's some gift, that maybe you were born different, or that the universe whispered its secrets into your ear. But you and I both know the truth. You earned this sight in blood, insomnia, and silence. You didn't wake up like this. You died into it. You were stripped, torn apart. Every illusion peeled off until only instinct remained. Raw, merciless, unfiltered. That's why your perception is terrifying, because it's not some mystical vision. It's the scar tissue of awareness. You don't see the future. You feel the pressure of inevitability. You read it in body language, micro-shifts, the rhythm of chaos itself. You listen to silence like it's an intelligence briefing. You taste the anxiety in the air before things collapse. And when it happens, you're never surprised, only confirmed. You became allergic to lies. You can smell pretense like smoke before a fire. You sense manipulation before words are even chosen. They can't comprehend it because they're still distracted, still medicated by normalcy. Their instincts are buried under dopamine loops and fake certainty. But you burned all that away. You looked directly into chaos, and instead of flinching, you memorized the pattern. That's why you terrify them, because you represent consequence. You move differently, you speak less, but when you do, every word lands like a loaded round. They hear it, and their subconscious convulses, because somewhere deep inside, they know. You already saw where this was going. You already predicted their betrayal, their fall, their little breakdown disguised as enlightenment. You see them spiraling before they do. You see the narrative tightening around their denial. You see them choosing destruction and calling it freedom. And you just watch, calm, silent, like a storm that already passed through. That's what drives them insane, your peace. Because peace that sharp can only come from someone who's seen too much. They think you're lucky. They think you always land on your feet. But they don't know those feet have walked through hellfire barefoot, dragging whole futures behind you. You didn't become foresighted by magic. You became it by repetition, by pain repeating itself until you finally said, never again. And that moment, that vow, rewired you. From that day forward, your brain stopped waiting for proof. It started detecting patterns instead of pain. You evolved. You became the organism that anticipates trauma before it's delivered. the creature that adapts before the threat materializes. You started living in premonition because waiting was death. And now, you're untouchable. Every attempt to deceive you reads like subtitles. Every plan they whisper in shadows echoes in your bones. Every manipulation, every trick, every secret. You already tasted it in the air. That's why you're always calm in the chaos, because you built your mind inside it. You were the lab rat that escaped the maze by building a map in its head. And now, the maze studies you. You've become the observer anomaly, the variable that can't be controlled, the human who learned to see time like it's code. People think you're mysterious because you don't explain yourself. But there's nothing to explain when you're living 3 layers deep. When every reaction you make has already been tested in simulations running in your subconscious. That's what happens when your nervous system becomes an algorithm of survival. You stop living for safety and start predicting collapse. They'll never admit it, but they fear you. Because deep down, they realize something horrifying. You've out-evolved them. They still seek validation. You seek patterns. They crave applause. You crave alignment. They chase peace. You manufacture it on demand. You've reached a frequency where manipulation simply doesn't register anymore, where deceit bounces off your aura like static, where every soul that approaches you is decoded before it speaks. That's why people get uncomfortable around you. They feel seen, and that's the one sensation humanity can't bear. You've become the mirror that doesn't lie, the reflection that exposes, the presence that predicts. And it's lonely up here, isn't it? Being able to see everything coming is a kind of damnation. You watch relationships die before they begin. You watch ambitions rot under ego. You watch the innocent choose their own poison. Smiling, and you can't stop them. You can only witness the loops. But you learned to use that pain, didn't you? You turned foresight into art. Every step you take now is surgical. Every silence, strategic. Every move, inevitable. They think you're reacting. You're not. You're setting traps with destiny itself. You play chess with chaos, and chaos keeps losing. That's why they can't rest. Why they scroll through your existence like an unsolved crime. Because deep down, they know. You already read the ending. You saw their moves before they did. You anticipated their excuses before they formed. You forgave them before they begged, and destroyed them before they plotted. That's why the whole internet's losing sleep. Because your existence shatters the illusion that they have control. You're not one step ahead, my friend. You're out of sequence. You're running on a timeline the rest of them can't access. Because you built it from pain, precision, and prophecy. You don't predict the future. You embody it. And when they ask again, trembling, how the fuck do you see the future like that? You just smile and whisper, I don't see it. I remember it. Because deep down, you know this isn't the first time, don't you? Every decision, every heartbeat, every glance, it feels rehearsed. Like some buried version of you already walked this road, already bled on these stones, already saw the final frame and whispered, again. You're not just living, you're replaying mastery. That's why nothing shocks you anymore. You walk into chaos like you're clocking in. You stare into madness like you're reading instructions. They call you unbothered, but they don't understand. You've been bothered by the universe itself. You've looked too deep into the pattern, seen how cause disguises itself as coincidence, how energy loops back like a knife that remembers its owner. That's why you don't chase outcomes anymore. You orchestrate them. You sit quietly while people think they're making decisions, never realizing every path they take still leads to the one conclusion you foresaw. And oh, the irony. They think you're manipulating them, when in truth you just understand inevitability. You don't fight the current, you ride the undertow. You see the way reality bends around awareness. You've learned that prediction isn't magic. It's clarity multiplied by pain. Because you've been betrayed enough to map out the anatomy of deceit. You've been silenced enough to hear how truth hums under every lie. You've died in small, invisible ways, enough times that you know which deaths are worth taking. You don't see the future, no. You calculate its echo. You listen to the past, whisper through behavior, through hesitation, through fear. You sense how one lie here will bloom into catastrophe there. You feel timelines breathing. You've watched enough people self-destruct to know the exact sequence. Denial, performance, collapse, reinvention, pretend amnesia. You've seen it so many times that you stopped calling it drama. Now it's data. They mistake your calm for arrogance. They don't see the years you spent unlearning emotion just to read reality clearly. They think you're cold, but in truth you're just not addicted to delusion anymore. You've tasted the raw texture of truth. You've felt it slice through comfort like glass through skin. And once you've felt that, comfort becomes the enemy. Because every lie feels like suffocation. Every fake smile burns your skin. Every shallow interaction feels like sandpaper on your soul. You've evolved past needing applause. You exist for alignment now, between what's real, what's possible, and what's already written inside you. You've become the embodiment of foreshadowing. When you enter a room, the air shifts, conversations glitch, eyes dart. Because some part of everyone knows. You already know. They feel it in the way you look at them, the way you pause before answering, the way you smirk like you've seen the ending credits. And you have, haven't you? You've seen this play before. You know who falls, who lies, who runs, who breaks. You know when the mask slips and when the guilt starts to itch. You don't need tarot cards or prophecies. You have memory disguised as instinct. And that, my dear ghost, is what separates you from them. They experience, you recall. They live linearly, stumbling through choices. You live like a loop, editing, rewriting, replaying the scene until the outcome aligns with the version of you that refuses to die. That's why your energy feels dangerous, because it carries déjà vu in its bones. You've been here before, and every atom around you remembers you. You move like inevitability. You speak like gravity. You exist like prophecy, wearing street clothes. And when they watch you, terrified, fascinated, they can't articulate what they're feeling. They call it charisma. They call it power. But what they're really sensing is foreknowledge. They can feel the timeline shifting to accommodate your will. They don't know how to handle someone who already learned every trap in the game and now uses silence as a weapon. You became fluent in stillness, the kind that unnerves crowds, the kind that bends the pace of conversation. You are unpredictability, camouflaged as calm. And that's the ultimate illusion. Because chaos isn't your enemy anymore. It's your tool. You don't try to tame it. You let it orbit you, feeding it just enough madness to keep your enemies dizzy. And when they finally break, when their plans crumble and their masks melt, you don't gloat. You just watch, because you saw it months ago. You let it happen exactly like that. Every reaction they thought they provoked was a response you scheduled. Every victory they celebrated was a move you predicted. Every insult they threw became a data point. Every betrayal became a prophecy fulfilled. You're not human in their eyes anymore. You're timing incarnate, and that terrifies them. Because how do you fight someone who already knows the script? How do you outthink a ghost that doesn't live in sequence? How do you fool someone who remembers the next mistake before you make it? You can't. That's why they call you dangerous. Not because you're violent, but because you're inevitable. Your awareness isn't sight. It's synchronization. You've matched frequencies with the source code of reality. That's why nothing surprises you. Why people fold around you like origami. Why fate keeps rearranging itself to your design. You aren't ahead of 8 billion souls. You're simply awake while they dream. You learn to stop reacting and start observing the algorithm. You learn that destiny isn't written in stars. It's written in behavioral loops. You don't just see the future, you recognize it hiding in plain sight. And when the world trembles, whispering, how does he always know? You smile, slow and surgical, because it's not sight, it's not luck. It's awareness sharpened into a weapon. You see, the future doesn't belong to the fastest. It belongs to the ones who stopped blinking. And you haven't blinked in years, and that's the part they'll never understand. They think your silence is arrogance, but it's not. It's strategy. Because silence is the only language that time truly respects. You've learned that words reveal timelines, and you speak only when the air has already decided which side it's on. You exist in that razor-thin space between awareness and outcome. You move like a glitch in destiny's code. When everyone else scrambles to react, you've already rearranged the pieces, made the loss look like luck, made the fall look like choreography. You don't play the game, you bend its physics. They call it intuition. You call it survival with a memory. You see how they panic when you smile during the storm? That's because they can't grasp the difference between chaos and confirmation. To them, uncertainty is terror. To you, it's a familiar friend. You've danced in it long enough to recognize its rhythm. You don't flinch anymore, you calculate. And every time they test you, they end up proving your point. Every rumor, every betrayal, every attempt to outthink you, it all folds back into your design. Because you no longer chase control, you embody inevitability. You learn that true power isn't in reacting faster. It's in feeling slower. It's in breathing through the noise until the pattern becomes audible. You don't rush destiny. You time it like an artist. You let it build, let it hum, let it crawl toward you. And when it finally arrives, it looks like coincidence to everyone else. But you know better. You always did. Because the future doesn't appear to you. It confesses itself. It whispers through tone, through hesitation, through repetition, through the little fractures in human behavior that most people are too self-absorbed to notice. You just learn to listen without expecting comfort. That's the difference. That's your curse. And your edge. You don't see what's coming. You remember what the world is about to repeat. So when they watch you, confused, threatened, obsessed, when they whisper to each other like you're some unexplainable phenomenon, let them label it luck, magic, madness, manipulation, because no word they invent can capture what you are. You are the moment before realization, the breath before collapse, the stillness before thunder. You are the proof that some people don't survive their pain. They evolve it. You're what happens when suffering is studied instead of escaped, when madness is managed instead of medicated, when intuition becomes weaponized truth. So keep walking, ghost. Keep smiling that unsettling smile. Let them lose sleep over the way you move like you've already seen the ending. Because in a way, you have. You lived it once. You mastered it twice, and now you're just watching the rest of the world catch up. They're trying to predict your next move, not realizing they're already inside it. And when they finally ask again, trembling, exhausted, obsessed, "How the fuck do you see the future like that?" You'll lean in, grin like sin disguised as wisdom, and whisper, "I don't see it, darling. I wrote it." Listen closely. Something's breathing that shouldn't be alive. That's you. You took damage that would have erased 99% of people, and yet here you stand, not limping, not broken, just awake. Tell me, what are you made of? Because the things that tried to kill you didn't just fail. They built something the world wasn't ready for. See, most people don't survive collapse. They beg, they retreat, they rot quietly. But you adapted. You absorbed every blade, every betrayal, every ounce of venom, and you turned it into voltage. You didn't heal. You rewired, they said. No one could live through that. You didn't live through it. You ate through it. You feasted on the ruin and turned agony into architecture. Pain became your architect, and chaos your engineer. You used to cry out for mercy. Now mercy cries out for you. Because somewhere between your breaking point and your rebirth, you stopped being human in the way they understand. You became the glitch, the exception, the monster God couldn't categorize. They see your smile and think it's confidence. No, it's aftermath. It's the grin of someone who saw everything burn and realized fire feels like home. You are what happens when destruction chooses the wrong soul to play with. You are proof that pain doesn't just change people. It reprograms them. You don't need closure. You don't need justice. The act of still existing is your revenge. They whisper, "You're not the same." Good. You were never supposed to be. The old you died in the explosion. What came back was blueprint and vengeance wrapped in skin. You've become the paradox they can't process. Too kind to be cruel. Too dangerous to be dismissed. You bleed light but talk like thunder. You love like war. Forgive like judgment. Move like fate itself owes you an apology. They stare, confused. How can someone so broken stand so tall? Because you learned the secret. Strength isn't about surviving what hurt you. It's about becoming what it feared most. Now every scar is a coordinate, every loss, a map, every heartbreak, a weapon. You turned trauma into theology. You didn't just overcome, you rewrote the definition of survival. And that's why they flinch when you enter a room. Because somewhere in their instincts, they recognize it. This one's not supposed to exist anymore, but you do. You exist like defiance. You walk like a curse that learned to bless itself. You breathe like you stole air from heaven and refused to give it back. So tell me, what are you made of? Because the world threw extinction at you, and all it did was teach you how to evolve. And now the storm reports to you. You didn't just walk through the fire. You built a home inside it. Every scream, every scar, every night that clawed at your sanity became a note in your new symphony. You became fluent in collapse. You learned to read silence like scripture. You discovered that peace doesn't come from safety. It comes from surviving what should have killed you. They thought your breakdown was the end. It was the blueprint. You were never meant to return as the same version. You were designed to fracture, because only through the cracks could your real light leak out. You didn't just lose people. You lost illusions. Every betrayal peeled off another layer of blindness until the truth stood naked and horrific and beautiful. You realized pain was never punishment. It was initiation. The universe wasn't trying to break you. It was trying to reveal you. And oh, what it revealed. Now they can't tell if you're a prophet or a problem, because you speak like you've been to places mortals shouldn't, and your eyes carry storms that haven't even arrived yet. You've become both the warning and the miracle, the saint with a criminal record in heaven, the sinner with clearance in paradise. You've mastered the art of resurrection so many times that death itself lost interest. It comes for you, and you just smile, whispering, "Not tonight." Because death can't claim what no longer plays by its rules. You already died, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. So now every breath you take is a rebellion against the concept of ending. And that's why they can't destroy you anymore. Because they're fighting an echo, a version of you that doesn't exist. The real you lives outside their reach. You became unpredictable. The most dangerous thing in existence. You learned the paradox. Stability is a cage. Chaos is a teacher. Pain sculpted you into something the system can't simulate. They can't measure your strength because it's not built from muscles or confidence. It's built from ruin. You carry scars like encryption keys to dimensions they'll never decode. You are not healing, you're mutating gracefully. The world looks at you and thinks resilient. No, resilience is too small a word. You are resurrection weaponized, your divine retaliation wrapped in calm composure. You can laugh in a war zone because you've been one. You walk through betrayal like it's weather. You've stopped chasing peace. You embody it, the terrifying kind that arrives after destruction has wiped everything fake away. Every room you enter trembles, not because you're loud, but because you radiate truth. The kind that makes liars suffocate, the kind that turns false gods into dust, the kind that reminds everyone that angels aren't always white and demons aren't always wrong. You are the gray space between heaven and hell, the secret alliance between mercy and wrath. You know now that light and darkness were never enemies. They were lovers, creating you in their chaos. So when they ask, "What are you made of?" you won't answer. You'll demonstrate in your silence, in your composure, in the way the air bends around your presence. You'll let them watch as reality rearranges itself around you. Because power doesn't announce, it simply exists. And that's you now. A storm wearing human skin, a ghost with a pulse, a myth disguised as a memory. You took damage that would have erased 99% of people, and you turned it into a signal, a code, a warning to the universe itself. You are no longer in the story. You are the story. And the plot just realized it can't kill the author. You didn't crawl out of the fire. You became it. You didn't rebuild. You reprogrammed. The version that walked out of that wreckage isn't an upgrade. It's an anomaly. The kind of being that makes destiny flinch. You are proof that evolution doesn't always look graceful. It looks like blood, grit, and laughter in the ruins. You used to wonder why life kept hitting you harder than everyone else. Why every chapter seemed to start with loss. Why every door slammed just before you reached it. You thought you were cursed. You were wrong. You were being forged. The heat wasn't there to punish you. It was there to shape you into something the average system couldn't compute. The pain that was meant to bury you was actually training data. The universe doesn't send comfort to its chosen ones. It sends chaos. It doesn't whisper, "You'll be okay." It screams, "Prove it." And you did, every time. You didn't just survive. You evolved out loud. And now look at you, a masterpiece made of every scar you swore you'd hide. You are living proof that destruction was never the opposite of creation. It was the doorway to divinity. They tried to define you by your wounds, but your wounds became windows. The world peers in, confused, terrified. Because no matter how much they analyze, they can't predict you anymore. You are unreadable, uncontrollable, untamed. You walk like your silence carries warnings. You smile like someone who has already buried the worst days imaginable. You speak like your words could alter weather. And they're right. Because when you've danced with death long enough, even the storms recognize your rhythm. See, the reason they can't break you anymore is simple. You no longer respond to fear. You've been past the point of no return. Pain doesn't scare you. It bores you. The things that used to destroy you now serve as your armor. You carry tragedy like a trophy. You wear chaos like cologne. You've made peace with your darkness because it was the only part of you that ever told the truth. You are what happens when a soul stops negotiating with fate. You are the creature born after surrender, turned into strategy. You've crossed over from victim to variable, the thing in every equation that changes the outcome. They can't plan around you. They can't prepare for you, because your next move isn't logical, it's instinctual. You are the wild card in the deck of destiny. Every time they thought you were gone, you returned with new software. Every failure upgraded your operating system. Every heartbreak rewrote your source code. Now your presence itself is a threat. Not because you seek violence, but because your existence invalidates their excuses. You've become the mirror people avoid, because looking at you means confronting everything weak inside themselves. You remind them what it looks like when the human spirit refuses to obey gravity. They hate you for surviving what they couldn't even imagine enduring. And that hate? It's just recognition. They know you're proof that the system isn't real, that control doesn't work on someone who has already lost everything and still stands tall. So let them whisper, let them doubt, let them try to analyze the unanalyzable. Because the truth is, there is no word for what you've become. You're not healed, you're not broken, you're beyond both. You are the intersection between chaos and consciousness. You are what happens when pain learns to speak fluently. And maybe that's why the world seems quieter when you walk by. Because even reality holds its breath around you now. It remembers what it did to you, and it realizes it didn't win. So keep walking, anomaly. Keep burning softly. Keep confusing the algorithms. Because every step you take rewrites the laws of what survival means. They wanted to see how much damage a soul could take before it disappeared. They didn't expect you to turn the damage into immortality. You became something no one has language for. The system can't define you. The enemies can't categorize you. And even destiny itself is forced to recalculate. Because when you rose from that wreckage, you didn't come back the same. You came back rewritten in the syntax of survival. You see, pain was never just pain. It was an ancient architect sculpting your soul into something unrecognizable. Every time the world said, "You're done," something older inside you whispered, "Try again." You're not powered by motivation anymore. You're powered by inevitability. You've seen too much to ever doubt yourself again. You've walked through madness and made it kneel. You understand now. Destruction was the test, but endurance was the initiation. They gave you chaos to see if you'd drown in it. Instead, you built a boat out of your bones. You learned to navigate through the storm, not because you wanted to, but because there was no other way. And now, look at you. You carry calm the way others carry fear. You wear your pain like perfume, faint, haunting, impossible to forget. You move through life with that eerie serenity that only the truly broken can possess. Because once you've lost everything, nothing has the power to own you. You used to chase validation. Now people chase your silence. You used to beg for understanding. Now your existence is the comprehension. You used to pray for a miracle. Now you're the anomaly they can't explain. Every night that tried to break, you trained your eyes to see in the dark. Every rejection tuned your instincts sharper. Every loss stripped away the unnecessary until all that remained was essence. Raw, untamed, immortal essence. That's why they fear you now. Not because you're cruel, but because you're unreachable. You've stepped out of the emotional ecosystem that controls most people. You don't react. You respond. You don't argue. You radiate. You don't chase. You choose. They can't manipulate you anymore because you've met worse demons, and they were wearing your own face. You already fought the version of yourself that wanted to die, and you won. That's why you're dangerous, because someone who's made peace with their own darkness can't be threatened with shadows. You've seen how fragile reality is, how quick the smiles fade, how temporary everything really was. And in that realization, you stopped pretending. You stopped trying to fit in. You stopped explaining your frequency to people built for static. You just started being. That's evolution, the final stage of power. When you stop needing the world to understand, and instead make the world adjust to your vibration, you're no longer reactive, you're gravitational. You pull things into alignment just by existing, and somewhere deep down, they know it. That's why their hands shake when they mention your name. That's why they watch your life like a movie they can't stop replaying. They're studying you, trying to find the formula, but they'll never decode it, because your survival wasn't mechanical. It was mythic. You're the living glitch in their matrix. The cosmic error that proved pain doesn't always destroy. It sometimes creates gods. You took damage that would have erased 99% of people, and instead of dying, you learned how to absorb lightning. You became the thunder. You became the weapon the storm built by mistake. And now every time you speak, something ancient trembles, because even the universe remembers what it tried to take from you and failed. So go ahead. Let them wonder what you're made of. Let them guess, because the truth is, you're made of everything that refused to die. The fire that didn't burn out. The love that didn't rot. The chaos that learned discipline. The darkness that learned to whisper to light instead of fight it. You're not supposed to exist. And yet, here you are. Calm, radiant, unshakable. Proof that even God's experiments sometimes break containment. So when they ask, "What are you made of?" you just smile. Because they wouldn't believe you if you told them you didn't heal. You adapted beyond recognition. You learned to bleed strategically, to turn agony into intelligence. Every failure didn't weaken you. It refined you, sharpened your awareness until you could sense lies before they left someone's lips. You're not paranoid. You're evolved. You've seen betrayal in its purest form and turned it into prophecy. You carry silence like a sword now. You don't shout your strength. You let people discover it when they try to destroy you and fail spectacularly. You no longer play defense because existence itself is your attack. Every breath you take in defiance of everything that tried to end you is warfare. They'll never understand the cost. How many nights you sat there, not crying, just calculating. How you rebuilt yourself with trembling hands while pretending to be fine. They'll never know the language of your thoughts, the way your brain rewired itself around pain like circuitry conducting lightning. You didn't just survive the storm, you absorbed it and learned to strike back with it. You became the architect of your own afterlife. Alive but rewritten, haunted but functional, terrifyingly stable. They call it healing. It's not. It's weaponization of everything that tried to kill you. You learn to disguise the chaos behind composure, to smile like serenity, while your mind silently dismantles every illusion in sight. You stopped begging to be understood. You realized people don't need to understand you to fear you. They sense it now. The energy around you has density. When you enter a room, their instincts scream danger, but their souls whisper divinity. That's the paradox. They can't decide whether to run or bow. You are light wearing the scars of shadow. You are kindness with a kill switch, the angel that learned to walk like a demon to survive in hell. You embody contradiction so perfectly that reality bends to make sense of you. And that's what makes you untouchable. Your unpredictability. You no longer react in ways they can predict. They expect tears. You laugh. They expect rage. You smile. They expect weakness. And you give them silence, the kind that tastes like execution. They think power is noise. But you learned power is control, not of others, of yourself. The ability to feel everything and still move like nothing happened. To be aware of every dagger and still smile like a saint. That's what breaks them. Your refusal to shatter. Because deep down, they know you shouldn't still exist. The damage you took wasn't survivable. And yet here you are, evolving so fast, the air hasn't caught up. You're not surviving anymore. You're rewriting physics. Every scar on your body is a doorway. Every silence is a sermon. Every glance is a manifesto. You are walking proof that destruction breeds divinity. You are the evidence that pain, in its purest form, is just another name for rebirth. You took damage that would have erased 99% of people, and you turned it into data, decoded it, weaponized it, became it. You're no longer the story they told about you. You're the storm that rewrote their script. And when they finally dare to ask, trembling, "What are you made of?" you'll just smile. Because you know the truth. You're made of everything they fear, everything they lost, and everything they'll never be strong enough to become.